Pre-season tests in Bahrain have concluded. With just 1 week left until the first Grand Prix of 2024, we can finally draw some initial cautious conclusions about how the teams have fared over the winter and where they stand in the standings at the beginning of the season. Of course, no one has revealed their true speed, but based on the test data and interviews with pilots and engineers, we can make general assessments of the state of affairs within each team and how they perceive their productivity at the start of the season. So in this video, I'll attempt to identify the top 5 teams at the beginning of the season. 5th place, Aston Martin. Aston Martin emerged as perhaps the biggest surprise of the previous season. During the off-season, they made significant progress, establishing themselves as the second force at the start of the season, securing 6 podium finishes in the first 8 Grand Prix races. It seemed that this momentum would continue, and the team's results would only improve. However, instead, we witnessed a significant setback. Aston Martin struggled to improve their car throughout the season, ultimately becoming the 5th force in the field. Considering this, the main requirement for the 2024 car was its potential for improvement throughout the season. It was crucial for the team to have a good platform to avoid ending up in the same position as the previous year, and it seems Aston Martin has dealt with this. The team's technical director, Dan Fellows, emphasized that the new car has become an excellent platform and is ideally suited for development throughout the season. From the end of AMR 23 to AMR 24, we've hit our target for development, and we've made a step with the car. Our competitors will have also made a step over the winter, so it's all relative. But we feel we're in a much better place this year with the car for in-season development. AMR 24 is a strong and exciting evolution of last year's car. We've taken the lessons that we learned, particularly in the last part of the 2023 season, to develop a car with a wider operating window, and that will provide a strong platform for development over the course of this year. The test results partially confirm the team's optimism. The AMR 24 proved to be a stable car, but questions remained regarding its productivity. It's clear that Aston Martin didn't reveal their full speed, but both in single-lap pace and race pace, the AMR 24 seemed to lag behind other teams. Race and qualification simulations showed less than ideal results for Aston Martin. The team itself seems to understand that at the beginning of the season, they will not only be behind Red Bull, emphasizing that this car is a good platform for further development, and they still have a lot of work ahead of them. 4th place, McLaren. McLaren's main task for this season is to maintain the momentum the team gained in the middle of the previous season. Quality updates from the team significantly improved the car and secured several podium finishes. Towards the end of the season, McLaren truly emerged as the second force after Red Bull on many tracks. Maintaining such a trend for this season and fighting for second place in the Constructors' Championship is the team's goal for this year. The target is stay close to Red Bull. We want to win races, so make the car quicker and work on these areas that we're still too weak. This year as a team, we're probably able to fight for P2 or P3 in the Constructors. The goal is ambitious, but the path to it is not easy. Over the past 2 seasons, testing has been challenging for McLaren, particularly due to issues with the car's reliability. The situation has improved significantly this year. The team approached testing more prepared, but it was not without its problems. According to team principal Andrea Stella, they couldn't complete all planned laps due to red flags and issues with the fuel system, but overall, it was a positive few days. The team's statements reflect optimism because, like most teams, McLaren has made improvements, but it's unclear if it's enough. Going into the Bahrain Grand Prix, we have to be prudent because some teams seem to have made a good step over the winter, and Bahrain is not the ideal track layout for our car. We will find out where we are in qualifying next Saturday. The situation with McLaren is similar to Aston Martin. They have also improved their car. Both drivers emphasize that the MCL38 is more stable than its predecessor, but questions remain about its productivity. If we trust the simulations, McLaren will not be as competitive at the beginning of the season as they were in the second half of the previous season. According to Lando Norris, McLaren has taken steps in the right direction, but they are still far from Red Bull and far from Ferrari. Third place, Mercedes. The Mercedes team continues its search for its direction in developing the rollover design. The current technical regulations have posed an extraordinary challenge for the team that not long ago dominated Formula One, and it seems that only in the third year of its implementation, Mercedes has chosen the right path to follow. During the presentation of the new car, the team's technical director, James Allison, mentioned that his main task was to create a stable car that would not have the shortcomings of previous cars and would serve as a solid foundation for improvement throughout the season. Taking into account the test data and feedback from the pilots, we can conclude that the Mercedes team has coped with this. We can attack the medium and high-speed corners without the rear end snapping out, and we feel like we've made a really good step in terms of the consistency of the car. We can really lean on it better than we've been able to in the past. And we've now got a car mechanically where the aero guys can go and focus on just building downforce upon that. Whereas in the past, whatever we did aerodynamically, there were underlying issues with the race car that took a while to understand, and so on. When asked by journalists what the car is still lacking, George Russell responded, "More downforce. When the car feels nice, but it's not quite on the pace, you just need to find downforce in the right places." Lewis Hamilton also shared his impressions of the car and highlighted stability as the team's main achievement. All that's needed now is to increase the productivity that is really lacking. During testing, the W15 showed good race pace, but it seems to lack speed and single-lap performance. This is partially confirmed by simulation data, in which the Mercedes team ranks second after Red Bull in race pace, but only fourth in qualifying pace. Second place, Ferrari. The Ferrari team is one of the main highlights of these tests. Ferrari has been able to make significant progress compared to last season and seems to become the second force, at least at the beginning of the season. According to Charles Leclerc, the new car is a big step forward. It is much more stable and easier to handle than the SF23. Another good news is that the car has responded as predicted by the simulator. For the time being, everything's going according to plan, in the sense that we haven't had any unpleasant surprises in terms of the car's behavior. The car is behaving as it did in the simulator, so that's a pretty good sign. In itself, the fact that it behaves exactly as it did in the simulator is good news. It allows us to be able to develop the car in the virtual world at Maranello, and that's good. Throughout the 3 days of testing, the Ferrari car performed exceptionally well. Experts and journalists noted its good stability and handling in all types of turns. The new car seems to maintain the excellent single-lap speed of its predecessor, while significantly improving its race pace, an area where Ferrari had previously struggled. Particularly noticeable were the issues with rapid tire wear, which had been largely addressed in the SF24. Race simulations indicate a third-place race pace, only slightly behind Mercedes, but a significantly better qualifying pace, which could be a major advantage over Mercedes in the battle for second place at the beginning of the season. First place, Red Bull. It probably came as no surprise to anyone that Red Bull looked very confident. While some thought the team might encounter problems due to the aggressive evolution of the car, Red Bull showed that they had done an excellent job. Already on the first day of testing, the RB20 in the hands of Max Verstappen demonstrated incredible stability, and the smile of Max's race engineer Gianpiero Lambiase after the fastest lap became a worrying signal for the rest of the teams. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko believes that the team took a risk by making such a radical change to the car, but it seems that the risk has paid off. Very impressive. We ran 142 laps without any problems, more or less, and the concept is working, so that was the first main thing. The car is reacting, and we are developing. Yeah, it looks good. Also, the reliability is unbelievable, and from what I saw tire performance-wise, again, Ferrari has more problems than us. Also, the McLaren seems to be a little bit more nervous. Mercedes, I don't know what they did. For sure they are faster than what they have shown, but we can be confident. No one doubts that the RB20 is the best car of this season, and it seems that the new season will once again be a season of Red Bull dominance, with new records from Max Verstappen. Although it appears that other teams are closing the gap, and perhaps on some tracks, we will see a battle for victory. What do you think? Can anyone challenge Red Bull this season? Or will they still manage to win all the Grand Prix races this season? Share your thoughts in the comments.